Everyone has a story, but not every story was told. Here in the Untold, we get the chance to meet a variety of individuals with variety of skills, profession, and abilities. I am your host, Marzouk Saeed, joined by dear colleague Abdullah Hindiani. Hello, Abdullah.
Hello, thank you for that. Like you said, we have a very much a great episode today of The Untold.
Yes.
And basically, we're going to be telling, pun intended, the story of Mohammad AlMomen, who is an engineer, I believe, in electrical fields, and who had a tremendous history in working with the U.S. Army out of all
U.S.
people.
Army.
Yeah.
And do you know what's surprising about him?
What?
That he was studying abroad in England.
Oh, yeah. So he has been all over the world.
MashaAllah.
Yeah, and hopefully he's going to share with us his experience, his stories.
Yes, take us on a journey to different maybe countries, different moments, and different time in history.
Yeah, but for that, we're going to go on a short break and we'll come back right with him.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back from that quick break where we're joined today by Dr. Mohammad AlMomen. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Dr. Mohammed?
I'm fine, thank you, Marzouk. Thank you, Abdullah.
Thank you. We are very honored and pleasure to have you here.
The pleasure is mine.
And I'm going to kickstart this interview. First of all, tell me about yourself.
About myself, I'm Mohammad AlMomen. I'm at the moment I'm the acting dean at the College of Technological Studies here in Kuwait. I'm a faculty member, associate professor in electronics. My field is optics, photonics, optical fiber, lasers, anything to do with light.
Anything with light.
Magic, that's what I do.
Amazing. I remember back in the days, growing up in my home, okay, something that influenced my profession nowadays was like kind of family members. They were interested in communication and public speaking, and that's how I ended up like being in that podcast. So if we went back in the days, Dr. Mohammad AlMomen, who influenced him to reach this kind of level?
I think my father.
Your father.
No doubt about it. Many people, but I think my father has always been like the biggest role model for me and for us all, for the family members.
Yeah, I think parents always play a role in the kind of career paths we take. And how do you, further expand upon that?
Well, when you belong to a family where, your father is focused on discipline, fairness.
He was a military man, right?
He was in the military.
Yeah.
My grandmother, his mother, she brought up my father and her other brother, her other son, and she always tried to influence and instill with them the importance of knowledge. Trying to do your best. And she always give us these small sayings, ask for knowledge even if it's in China. اطلب العلم ولو في الصين. اطلب العلم تكون سيدا كم رفع العلم حقير النسبة.
Yeah.
All these Arabic sayings influenced us when we were very young. That's why you'll find, I did a PhD, have a cousin who's a dentist, another cousin who's also PhD holder, actually 2 PhD holders. My son is a doctor, my nephew is a doctor, my other son wants to be an academic. Everybody wants to put
academia.
They love academia and professionalism. So I think that all comes from the grandmother role.
And that's a great mixture between like discipline and knowledge.
Yes.
And then we see like this, you gotta work hard like to reach the peak of the mountain.
Exactly. And you like anywhere. My father always used to say, everybody needs to work hard. You don't know if you'll succeed or not.
But at least you put the work in.
But you put in the work.
Yeah.
You come out, you're happy, you did your best, you were fair, you did your, the utmost effort
Yes.
in whatever job you were doing, and the rest to Allah,
Yeah.
Yes.
And that sort of helps you and you become, it's not the goal, it's not to be, it's the journey.
The journey.
Yeah.
Sometimes talking about like the journey, if you kind of grow up in like maybe like military with discipline, maybe you don't have much choice deciding which major. Like,
Oh,
did you encounter that before?
oh yes, I'm the generation where your father tells you what to do.
And you be
Not like the new generation, where they they choose what they want to do.
And even speaking on that, like you said, your father was military. But how did you go? Because I'd assume your father wanted you to be military. But how did you go?
Not necessarily. I think he always had, get your bachelor, get your degree, become educated. You want to go to the military, do so. By the time you finish your university, you're probably more interested in other fields.
Yeah.
So I think that's also, even when I was very young, I was good in maths. I was good in physics, sciences. In Kuwait, I would love reading. I used to exchange little stories with a lot of my friends, Palestinians, Kuwaitis.
Mashallah.
So sort of that sense, we've had that sense growing up.
So you're already born a scientist.
I don't know, maybe it's genetic, I don't know. Our family, because we have half of us are scientists, the other half artists.
Artist.
I just happen to be in the science,
department.
the science side. And also, I think, I was probably mentioned before we started this, at the age of 13, when my father was posted in the UK, in the Kuwaiti embassy, and he always loved the British discipline, the British way of life, and their education. So my brother and I left at the age of 13, and my brother was the age of 11, and we went to London, spent 3 days in London, took us to Harrods, bought us the uniforms, then we were shipped to boarding school.
Oh.
And boarding school, immediately, I thought I was good in English, but when I attended school, I found out I was terrible. I was.
Especially when it comes to the accent.
Oh, it's not just the accent.
Because the English have a very specific kind of accent.
I don't understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
And they could be making fun of me. And your pride,
Yes, like this
kicks
ego
in.
and
Yeah.
And so we got into some trouble because of that. But it was some experience. And one of the things in the British system is that they always want you to try different things.
Yeah.
Languages, you'll have to take French, maybe Latin. You have to do maths, you have to do English, you have to do sports, you have to do music, you have to have some activities in theater, for example.
So let's just dive into that real quick. How many years have you been studying there? You were 13 at the time, right?
At the time. I spent 10 years in the UK.
Oh.
6 of them boarding school. Then I went to University College London, where I did my bachelor's, and I did the master's in also at University College London.
Oh, so what would you say was the biggest culture shock, especially back then?
Oh yeah.
Between going from Kuwait, because even then it was the Michael Jackson era, I'd assume. Going
It
from
was
Kuwait
before Michael Jackson, actually.
Yeah.
1980.
in the 80s, yeah.
In the 80s, I think it was May.
Beatles?
Yeah.
Beatles were before that.
before that.
Yes, but I still remember ABBA.
But
Yeah. So how was the culture shock?
Definitely, especially when you're sent to this boarding school where they're all English, and then they have very strict rules. You wake up at a certain time. You basically when you wake up, you wash and everything. You get dressed. You stand by your bed, and they come and inspect
Oh,
all the beds.
It's like a military.
Just like
type of-
military.
Yeah.
Then we walk in the line to have breakfast, and you just don't go in and have breakfast.
Yeah.
You walk in line, you stand by the table, all the students, and the headmaster at the end of the table says, "You may sit down." Then you
Okay.
sit
And
down.
then all of them sit down.
So you
Then-
learned like order, you learned discipline.
Everything. Then he says, after he says his prayer, you may eat.
You may eat.
Then you start eating. Then you may talk. Then you may talk.
So 3 permissions.
Permission
Sitting,
and everything.
eating, and then talking.
Everything.
But I was gonna say that learning discipline at such a young age is probably gonna influence you for the rest of your
Very
life.
much.
Yeah.
When I did my military service, I had no problem. To me, this was just
It was routine.
Nothing.
It was routine.
it was routine.
Yeah.
A lot of other friends probably had a hard time. So that whole sort of discipline, and it's not just discipline, also teamwork.
Yeah.
For example, they'll divide the students to houses, and the houses would compete in sports, activities,
Wow.
debating. They would do plays.
What was your favorite though?
Oh, I enjoyed the sports.
Sports. Yeah.
There was going to the UK and seeing them play cricket. What is
yeah.
cricket? We had to play cricket. I played hockey,
Hockey.
athletics, football, of course, and later on, table tennis, and my passion was fencing.
Fencing.
And yeah, and I
Amazing.
was school's captain, England schools captain, university champion.
In
So that's
fencing?
the one you
In
exceeded
fencing.
at. That's the one you exceeded at.
That's the one I focused a lot on that. I liked the discipline. I liked the dedication that's really needed. There's also teamwork. You know, you get this sort of, you have affiliation with all your colleagues who are also trying to succeed
Yeah.
and excel at your sports. But you have to be careful because sports also could influence your studies.
Yeah.
So you have to
It's a
balance
balance.
it.
Were you able to make a balance between sport and education?
I think slowly at the university level I did. Slowly I started doing less sports and focusing more on academic. And that's where I did my master's and later on did my PhD. And as I said earlier, I've always loved maths.
Math.
To me, it became natural.
That's the opposite of me. I still count on my fingers. I'm not very good at math.
You know something?
Same here.
Yeah.
The Kuwaiti curriculum was excellent. When I went to the UK at the age of 13, I would get almost full marks in maths.
So they got kind of prepared you very well.
Very well. I think at the university level, when they start to really exceed us, in sciences. And the British system, the university level, especially the good university colleges, it's a well-known school. Your first year there, and you're taking quantum mechanics, you're taking electromagnetics. So these are very heavy courses.
Materials.
Yeah.
Physics and maths. But I always loved it. I really just the wonders of how these scientists came up with these ideas, how to put them in equations that could sort of describe the world.
Yeah, science is a fascinating topic. And it's such an endless topic as well.
It is.
Yeah.
You need to have passion for it.
Yeah.
I think for us, when we look at the equations, we see something very complicated.
It's like
But
the Matrix
maybe-
code for us.
Yes, something complicated, but I think for you it's a beautiful melody.
Exactly. When you look at an equation, you look at a painting.
Painting.
It's got to be beautiful. It's got to have symmetry.
Symmetry.
Like when you look at a face and you say that's a beautiful face because it has symmetry.
Yeah.
So when you look at an equation like Maxwell's equations, they have symmetry.
So you're an artist in math.
Well, I never claimed that. I cannot claim that. I leave that to one of my sons. He wants to be a mathematician.
Mathematician with an art.
Maths, that's why
It's
a
an
lot
art
of
as well,
schools they look at maths as being an art, and also physics and the other sciences. You start to really need to learn to appreciate sciences. And I say that, but that does not mean other fields are not as interesting.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
They all require creativity.
And it required passion.
You need passion.
So beside school and the discipline and also the lifestyle, how about the culture outside school in British? What did you find? What intrigued you there?
I think when you grow up at the age of 13, you become this dual personality. You sit with the Kuwaitis, you sit with the British. You know how they think.
It's
they
like
know
a
both
mixture
sides
of
things.
all the best worlds.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
still friends with some of them in the UK.
Still.
That's what I
Still.
was going to ask, is that you spent nearly 10 years there.
Yeah,
Have you encountered any of your older classmates?
I do. I still meet some of them. We meet up sometimes in these small towns outside of the UK.
Okay.
I met some in Edinburgh, in
It's like an annual
Bath.
meeting.
We meet up, and we've all grown, and we're all parents now, and
Mashallah.
some of my teachers are still around.
Oh, mashallah.
And they still hold events. Unfortunately, I've been very busy. I haven't been able to go, but my brother goes regularly, and he posts pictures of some of my old friends and teachers, and
Amazing.
they're still active.
It's still active.
They're still active. The same teacher that does fencing at the age of 70 and
He's still
75,
fencing.
Yeah.
he still teaches and he still fences.
So age is just a number.
Age is just a
And
number.
talking about classmates, talking about these beautiful memories,
Yeah.
I have something special for you.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm not so sure. Let's see.
Okay.
Well, my colleague Marzouk has a little bit of surprise for you.
I wonder. I
So,
wonder.
tell us the story behind this picture.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. This is, I think probably this is 86, 85. This is, I think, upper six. Um, Basically, every year we have to take school pictures.
I think there's a lot of amazing memories, but before we jump in, how about we take a break and then come back?
Okay, all right.
And we are back, our dear viewers, with this amazing pictures. Can you tell us, Dr. Mohammed, what significance does this picture has?
Oh, it has a lot of memories. I'm trying to remember if this is 84 or 86. One thing you'll notice, the ties that we wear.
Okay.
The ties actually have a significance. You have a school tie.
Uh-huh.
You have a tie if you're a prefect, senior prefect, if you're headmaster, if you have school colors, which means you represented the school outside in sports, or your country.
Just like grouped.
Oh yeah, I mean it has a representation.
Yeah.
And prefects and senior prefects, like they become like bosses. If you've ever seen Harry Potter,
Like hierarchy.
Yeah.
hierarchy. Yes, you can give orders. You can punish other
Wow.
students if they do something wrong.
You're allowed to do that.
Oh yeah. It's sort of instills leadership and discipline in the school
So
itself.
it's not just like a merely a tie, like you wear for like an outfit.
Yeah, no. It has sometimes privileges.
Is there any like special story that you could remember with like maybe one of your classmates in the picture, like someone, like specific moment
Well, I mean, a lot of these people in those pictures from all over the world,
over the world?
from Malaysia, from other Arab countries. We had people from Jordan, from Kuwait, from UAE, from Libya. So there's always this mixture of international students.
And do you think the values that you learned at the time are still here with you at the
I
moment?
think so.
Yeah.
You learn that we are all humans.
Yeah.
We all have cultures that we're proud of.
Beautiful.
You don't really have you know. We're all the same.
Yeah.
At the end, there's goodness in everybody. There is ambition in everybody, and if you build a repertoire with friends, this friendship can last.
Yeah.
And you learn from each other.
Yeah. I think a lot of people underestimate the amount of things that influence you as a child and then continue to influence you as a grown-up, even so many years after.
Exactly.
And we can see that right now.
Exactly. And again, as I said earlier, it's just the variety of experience that you get, be it sports or studies or the arts. I mean, for example, I don't think you'll find a student in the UK who hasn't participated in a play.
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Because they are very proud of Shakespeare being one of them.
Exactly, the experience, even the house itself. I mean,
Yeah.
we're divided into houses. I think there were like 60 students in the house. And every house once a year has to put a play on
Yeah.
Play
for
on.
the rest of the school. And usually are famous plays. So that gives you,
A wide experience.
an experience exactly
That's
of standing on stage, talking, expressing yourself.
Some parents like some parents they influence their maybe like sons or daughters like to focus only on their study, on their
Yeah.
major, and then graduate, like do it quickly and then graduate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is definitely a mistake.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, if you see universities outside, schools, the same. Even Kuwait, a long time ago, I mean, we used to play football in school. We used to do other sports in school. And I think, unfortunately, sports have taken a step back.
Yeah.
And for a country that's small like Kuwait, I think they could do really well if we focused on individual sports.
I think it's just because the popularity of like video games and and everything that came and attacked sports all over the world.
True. Also, outside, there's an incentive.
Yeah.
For example, all these private schools and universities, and if you're very good in sports or academics or you're talented in some way, you get scholarships. And that encourages parents and students to, to really excel in what they're doing, And I think this is something really, really nice. And that's how stars are made.
Yeah. And actually, I was talking about it with my friends at our latest Duania. we were of course joking about it, but we said that we no longer see kids playing with juice boxes, football in the
Yeah.
streets. That was the sport daily at the time, and I think that just goes to represent that a lot of people now, especially younger kids, are not fans of sports or having fun outside. It's just
Yeah.
coming back home, playing their video games, watching their movies, watching their phones.
Well, I think school has a part to play in that. Families have a part
Yeah.
to play in that, and it's not easy.
It
It's
is.
not easy even on the kids anymore. Peer pressure.
Yeah.
When you see your friend has a phone, so you need to have a phone. He plays on a game, you want to play on a game.
So it depends like on the circle that you are with.
Yeah,
If they do like something, then you're gonna be the next one doing it.
Yes, and peer pressure is very, unfortunately, peer pressure plays a big role in affecting young kids and
Yeah.
their even their mental health. And this is all over the world. It just takes different forms from time to time. So I like to see sort of a focus or an attempt to try to improve
Yeah.
the mental health of teenagers and try to get them involved in different activities outside the house.
Of course, and one thing we could use also like reading. When I was like looking at your Instagram, I saw like you were. There's like was a quote when you said about one of the books that finally a writer has experience before he writes. It was about one of the novels.
Well, I'm an avid reader. I think we all are, but it's something I think I've always grown up with, and I always try to read both Arabic and
And
English.
yeah.
And a lot of these writers, as you said, they have so much experience. He puts a story in the middle of history, and he gives you so much information. These characters were real characters.
Yeah.
They're not just fictitious characters. And it just blows my mind. The depth, the cultural exposure. It's just amazing. I miss that.
It's so many worlds. Like if you read every book is a world of its own.
Exactly.
And actually, this goes back to something I was really curious about, especially about you. It says that you work with the U.S. military as a translator for Khabar. I really want to. I'm really curious about that.
This was
There's
the
a great story about to come up.
Yeah.
well. This is something that we never wished it happened.
Yeah.
But the invasion of Kuwait.
Yeah.
Yes.
This was played a major role. Luckily, I just finished my exams during my master's, so I only had finished my thesis. But we were greatly affected. I was in the UK. We had some my family members in Kuwait, family members outside of Kuwait, father in the military. And, basically, as soon as we had the opportunity to volunteer,
Yeah.
there was no
Hesitation.
hesitation. I had friends who hardly knew any English and they volunteered. They really wanted to volunteer. And the Kuwaiti embassy really did an amazing job. They contacted, the students. And we're 60 students, flew from the UK to the US, Fort Devon, Fort Dix for 10 days. We went through sort of quick training, light armor, translation techniques,
Yeah.
how to wear your gas mask and everything. And we were following the news all the time. And we were in the States when the air campaign started.
Oh,
And
okay.
during that
Yeah.
time, how old you were?
Oh, I was 22, I think.
Oh, fairly young.
22,
So fairly.
20,
Yeah.
going to 23.
So a lot of experience to take at that age.
Yeah,
Big
and
responsibility.
we were quite mature, I think, at the time. And I just
Compared
finished
to
my
now.
master's, and you don't know how quickly people mature in times of crisis.
Yeah.
And what we go through is nothing comparing to what people went through in Kuwait.
Definitely.
Definitely. So after 10 days in the US, and from the start, we knew Kuwait will be liberated. It's just
Yeah.
a matter of
It's
when.
just a matter of time. Yeah.
Exactly. Then we went to Saudi Arabia to Khobar, and the night we arrived, there was a chemical attack. Or we thought there could be a chemical attack. It was Scud missiles was fired at Khobar
Yeah.
and Riyadh, if I'm not mistaken. And the funny thing is, my father was in Riyadh. I was in Khobar. He's in the military with the Kuwaiti army. I was with the American forces in Khobar.
Wow.
He had a very hard time asking about me because it wasn't appropriate to ask about your son Every
Yeah.
Kuwaiti
Is your son?
is your son and
Yeah,
worries about
totally.
their sons.
Yes.
So he didn't call, but we met after the liberation.
And what a coincidence, you know?
Yeah, and alhamdulillah, things went okay. It was the experience was very good. Basically, we had to translate a lot of captured Iraqi documents. We had to categorize them.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do, literal translation. Sometimes we do summarization.
It's like Intel, right?
It's like internship, yeah. And we would work shifts, 8 hours a day, then went to 12 hours a day. And as soon as Kuwait was liberated,
Wow.
I mean, I can't forget that. It was just amazing. We couldn't wait till we get into Kuwait.
Yeah.
Amazing moment.
Yes, that's
Tears
all
of
we
joy.
wanted. We didn't want to do anything with the army or whatever we were at. We wanted to go into Kuwait.
Yeah.
And remember, and they gave us a few hours in Kuwait where we drove in Kuwait. Things were, obviously, the sky was dark.
It was dark, yeah.
Because of the oil fires and we went in Kuwait, alhamdulillah. We checked on some family members and friends, but things were tough. So it wasn't even appropriate for us to just say, okay, I'll stay and
And handle it.
because really the supplies and everything were really the Kuwaitis
It was a long
were there.
journey.
It was a long journey, and the people in Kuwait really needed it.
Yeah.
I felt like I would be a burden. So I went back to Saudi Arabia. We did some more work with the army, then decided I think it was enough, and we went back to the UK.
Yeah.
One of the things one of the moments I can't forget is I came across, I don't know if I should say this, but I can't help it, some letters and memoirs.
That's when you were working as a
translator of a very dear friend of my father,
Oh.
Sheikh Salih al-Mohammad, rahmatullah alayhi, God bless his soul. It was his memories and it was his private letters.
This like a treasure box.
It was it really touched me, and even it was very old. Even the terminology wasn't terminology of the 80s or even 70s. It was very old letters. I couldn't help it, but I managed to get that to him later on after the war, which he was very thankful and very proud of.
Very emotional day.
It was very emotional because he was a very dear friend of my father and of the family.
You have experienced a lot. Like, have you thought of like maybe publishing a book or like writing something? Because your life is filled with amazing events, journeys.
It's well, actually, I haven't thought that. I've thought about writing a book, say in academia. I thought of that, but it's not easy. Especially there are a lot of good books out there, so it's not easy to compete. If you want to write your memories or memoirs, you need to make them fun. Touch on the feelings of people, the emotions of people, because really it was a roller coaster. Going from Kuwait as a young chap
to British,
boarding school, university in London, so Kuwait invasion, then Kuwait and doing your PhD in the States. So you compare both countries in a way, systems. Coming back to Kuwait, teaching.
It's like many lifetimes in one.
Oh, yes, definitely. But this is nothing, I think, comparing to what our parents, not just my father, I think his generation. His generations, they went through when Kuwait was poor and there was nothing. Then they grew up and their life changed. The whole life turned upside down.
The oil discovery.
The oil, the formation of the institutions of Kuwait.
It was a brand new world, basically.
Exactly. I think so. I cannot compare our life really with theirs.
And going on that note, because we've run out of time, unfortunately, we can only just say thank you to their predecessors, and hopefully the ones after us continuing their legacy, right?
Inshallah, inshallah.
So, do you have like any last words you want to conclude this interview with?
Well, what I want to say to young Kuwaitis and everybody who lives in Kuwait, enrich yourself.
Yeah.
You're no longer competing in Kuwait, you're competing worldwide. To succeed, you really be ambitious, learn. There will be hard times. That's all part of life. Try to learn from that. There is no bad experience.
Yeah.
They're all experience. They all should be positive. Open up to the world.
Yeah. There are only lessons.
There are only lessons to be learned. and do what you enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes, our parents still told us what we should study, but I think there is something in actually letting your the kids experience go through their own experiences, try to enrich themselves in the different fields.
Yeah,
Definitely.
yeah, and I think that's a great message to end the episode with.
Yeah.
That was great. It was very insightful. You had so many stories that require way more than 30 minutes.
Oh.
Yeah, so
And
thank you for
already
sitting with us.
enriched us with a lot of insight and valuable lessons. Thank you so
I-
much, Dr. Mohammed. It
Thank
was
you.
really a great pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Abdullah. I'd like to thank Marzouk. I'd like to thank the staff at Kuwait TV for this wonderful session and time, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Well, that was our interview with Dr. Mohammad AlMomen, and we're going to take a short break and we'll come back. So that was all of what we had for today's episode of The Untold with Dr. Mohammad AlMomen, who is an engineer in electrical fields.
Who took us on a special journey from England, United States, America, and a variety of countries.
Yeah, and he really had a very unique experience, and that he shared with us. It was very fun, it was very explorative, it was very insightful to know that people like this actually do live in Kuwait, being with the US Army, working in the fields and everything. So that was a really interesting episode today.
I hope our dear viewers got a chance to listen from him, to get inspired, and hopefully he sparked some of their imagination to work maybe on something in the future.
Yeah, and for our audience to work on their future, they're going to have to go after this episode because we've run out of time.
Until next time, stay positive and work on your future.